Welcome back to A Better World. This is your host, Mitchell J. Rabin, and we're very glad that you are joining us again today. Today we're going to have another very, very interesting show. We have the honor and the privilege of having Bhagavan Das on with us. Bhagavan Das is known in his own right and is also very well known as a result of his introducing Richard Alpert, the psychologist from Harvard at the time, to his guru, which led Richard Alpert to a change of name, change of heart, and a change of soul, and was known as Baba Ram Das from Be Here Now fame, and much fame even thereafter. So we are going to be speaking with Bhagavan Das, and we're also going to be asking him to do some chanting with us, which he does so beautifully. And in fact, I had a chance to be with him yesterday in a workshop, and he totally set the room on fire. And so it was based on that we really wanted him to come and be on our show. So on that note, welcome.
Thank you
So much.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
So first of all, if you would just give us a little history, if you could, of how it is that your life went and flowed into this direction than any number of other directions that it might have flowed into. In other words, you didn't become a stockbroker.
Right.
You didn't become any number of other things that the world has to offer.
Well, I tried a lot of different things.
You did?
Yes, I did a lot of different things.
Yes.
I was...
Like what?
I sold insurance.
Really?
Yes, I was an insurance agent.
You know, it's funny, I'm just interrupting you for a moment. Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche, Tibetan Buddhist teacher, said that the next Messiah was going to most likely be an insurance agent from New Jersey.
Uh-huh.
Are you from New Jersey?
No, I'm from Laguna Beach.
Okay. Oh, well. You got half of it.
All right.
Yeah, so you did that for a while, yeah?
Yes, sold cars. I sold Encyclopedia Britannica and did paralegal work and was a headhunter.
Wow.
So lots of sales work.
Now you're a soul hunter.
I'm a soul hunter.
So you did lots of things like that, but
yes.
Obviously you experienced them as empty, as not...
Well, I didn't... I gave it all. I gave it my all, but there seemed to be a different part for me to play in the drama of this life.
What was the way in which you came to know that?
Well, I came to know it because there didn't really feel that I didn't really feel that I was being myself when I was doing those things. And I always had the feeling that I really didn't fit in, and that everybody knew that I really wasn't one of them. I had that feeling that they knew
sort
that.
Of being on the outside.
I was on the outside of their world, and that wasn't really comfortable for me. So it was the wrong part in the play for me to play, and it's important that we find what it is that we are supposed to be in this drama of life. It's like an actor picking up a mask.
Yeah.
We find our mask and our part, and then we play the part. Because this is the drama that we create with our own desires, and we get what we want. And that seems to be the way it works.
So how is it that you came to this particular mask and this particular
well, I kind of stumbled upon it.
Could you just tell us a little bit about that stumbling?
I started out as just growing up in Southern California, in Laguna Beach, and spending a lot of time surfing, and I worked as an artist in high school and did a lot of art photography and wrote a lot of poetry and started playing folk music and was listening to Bob Dylan and Joan Baez in those days and reading existentialism. And what happened was I wanted to start traveling to Europe, and I left America as soon as I got out of high school. And coincidentally, it was a week after Kennedy was shot that I left. So it was the energy that was released with that bullet also propelled me out of this country and into a spiritual quest for a deeper meaning of life, because I didn't really see any value in what I experienced around me at the time in America.
So, but what is it that brought you specifically into the Indian way?
Well, I was in Greece in 1964.
When I ask,
Yeah.
actually, to tell you the truth, so not to go so into much the history as much as what happened inside you, internally, that had you make a shift.
Internally, when I was in Greece, I had an experience of what would happen when I die. And I was reading the Tibetan Book of the Dead at the time, and it was a full moon night, and I went into this sort of place of terror inside and realized that I needed to find out what was going on in my life and how to live my life. And that the way to find that out was I needed to go to India, because that's where the teachers lived who could teach me how to live. And so that's what really propelled me into India, was like that inner feeling of complete fear, deep fear.
A very powerful motivator.
Right, I really confronted death that night. I sat up all night meditating that night, a full moon night, and left for India pretty much the next day or two, and started hitchhiking, and realized that I would find what I was looking for there, because that's where all the saints lived, and the gurus, and I wanted to connect with a living saint.
Yeah, and you did.
And I did. Right.
And became a student and have been embodying those teachings, I imagine, really ever since.
Right, and I'm a student.
Yeah.
I think it's important to really find that student attitude, because that's what keeps us learning new things all the time. It's very dangerous to really forget that we're always a student, and that we really learn from everyone,
sort of like
every day.
The best teacher is an excellent student.
You have to be.
Yeah.
And everyone wants to be the teacher and the guru. But we need to have disciples. We need people to really have that attitude of respect towards the teachers.
Sure.
And that's what opens your heart and your consciousness to really receive the teachings in life that everyday life gives us. We can see.
There are many people who don't necessarily recognize any one teacher or guru in a physical body, but recognize that really situations are the guru, and that perhaps each person in a situation in which one finds oneself is a teaching. What do you think and feel about that?
That's true. I mean, whatever we perceive to be true is true for us. And the Tibetans talk about truth in two ways, that there's a twofold way. There's relative truth and absolute truth. Relative truth means that everyone's truth is true. So if that's what you feel, that's what's true for you, and that is what works for you. And I think that in a way is a very high state of awareness, to see living situations as the guru and everyone as the guru. And I think that there's a lot of kind of intellectual understanding that comes about, and it's not a real integrated understanding. It's important to ground it in the very cells of your body and not just head trip it. So it's always good to
You mean the kind of understanding that's available and possible?
Well, what you're saying, I mean, we can't always start at the top, even though we'd like to like the American way is to be the best and the greatest, and we want the ultimate teachings and the high tantric teachings.
Right. Before laying the groundwork.
Right.
As an example.
Yeah. Right. And so there's a lot of spiritual disasters that take place because there's no groundedness. Yeah. There's nothing built to hold the energy.
Right.
So it ends up too much. Mm-hmm. And people go crazy. They can't hold it.
Right.
And there's a lot
and abandon ship.
Right. Yeah. And they throw it all out, and then they go off and just surrender into the to the world of business or whatever, mm-hmm. and forget any connection with spiritual ideals.
Or spiritual ideal or spiritual way was something that they did already.
Right.
It's relegated
it didn't work.
to the past.
We did it. It
didn't work. Right.
So now I'm just going to.
Yeah, I
did.
Money. Did that kind of attitude. Mm-hmm. Very funny. Right. And now they're getting on with real life.
Right. Mm-hmm. That's right.
It's a casualty, and it's a casualty that would happen very much in this country, which is predicated on instant gratification.
Right.
Also, it's another piece of the puzzle.
Yeah, because the spiritual path is a very dangerous path. It takes tremendous courage, mm-hmm. and it's not something that you can do in a workshop. It's not a hobby. It's not a casual thing. It is a shedding of layer after layer of concepts and of our ego. Mm-hmm. And like St. Paul said, I die daily in Christ. Mm-hmm. And that dying daily is necessary. Yeah. That we can then have a resurrection of our own consciousness. Yeah. And we have to be willing to lose our heads and surrender. And it's hard to surrender to situations and to life. Mm-hmm. That's a high state.
Yes.
You see? So we don't want to up-level it unless we're really there. It's better to have a daily practice, to have a form of the sacred or divine in front of us that we then acknowledge and worship, such as Jesus, Christ, or Mary, Mother Mary. First of all, because these are very much ingrained in our Western tradition and consciousness.
Yeah. So they have emotional import, they have meaning.
Mostly negative to most people.
To a lot, yeah.
Yeah, mostly negative. But it's important, to find a form that you resonate with.
Well, certainly you don't want to find a negative form.
Well, no, you don't want to find a negative form, but you need to make peace with the form, mm-hmm. too. Mm-hmm. And whether the form is the Buddha, or the form is one of the Hindu deities, or it's just simply a candle or a glass of water. Mm-hmm. Sure. I really recommend that one starts with worshiping a form, and we invite the divine to come into the form, and then acknowledge it, surrender to it, and withdraw the energy then into our own hearts. And therefore what happens is you start to create continuity of a daily spiritual practice, that even though it can be only for a short time, that it starts to unfold within you. So and put other things into perspective in your life. Mm-hmm. So that you're not.
What would you be recommending to the audience? And no doubt many of them already have various spiritual practices and disciplines. Mm-hmm. Perhaps many don't, or many mm-hmm. have some that they don't feel altogether at home with. Mm-hmm. You're outlining some very kind of simple and basic mm-hmm. possibilities that people could begin mm-hmm. A grounded approach with. Mm-hmm. Could you just go on about that so maybe
yes.
people can really hear this mm-hmm. and form it, shape it for themselves?
Right. The form of worship that I think is the most appropriate at this time of the Kali Yuga, which is the time of, or the age of darkness that we're living in, mm-hmm. is to because the female form of divinity is very powerful now and manifesting itself. And I feel it's really important that we honor the women and learn from the women. And the female energy is the mother, and it's the heart of love. So this is a tremendous door and a very easy path too for people, because the Divine Mother really manifests herself in life situations and in all form. So it's really acknowledging an attitude of respect, paying attention to our lives and what's going on around us, and feeling the spaciousness or the openness of wherever we're at, too, as being the Divine Mother, because that's what she is. She's an openness.
Yeah. Space.
Space, rather than a closed off, this is how it is type of attitude. And then you have this against that.
It's yin. It's embracing.
Right. It's water.
Containing, accommodating.
Right. Exactly.
Water. Right.
Right. It's open. And I found that in my experience is that everyone relates to that. When you're loving and open and genuinely there in the moment with people, they instantly respond back with you. And there's fulfillment in that.
Yeah.
So in a way, that is a real important tool. And she's worshipped in all women.
Well, what you brought forth yesterday in our group through sound, through music, created such a resonance in us all that created openness in what might have otherwise been much more of a closed situation, or closed people,
right,
to be specific. And
right.
so the sound is something that really kind of opened our hearts.
Well, I think it does. I think the power of music in sound is it's very primordial, and we're all very attracted to it. So what I'm sharing and teaching with people is that the sound of our own voice is, in a way, that is, we're tuned into it inside our bodies on a cellular level. Like we all love to talk. We love the sound of our own voices. So therefore use that attachment to take the sound back to the source of sound, beyond the mind, into a stillness in the heart. And it's called Nada Yoga, and it's the yoga of sound.
Could you lead us through some of that now?
Sure.
For us here as well as for
Yes.
the audience? That would be wonderful.
To do some toning and chanting. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Unless there's something else that you want to say first. You can do that too?
No.
Okay.
I think the devotion to, the devotion to chanting the divine names of the Holy Mother is what mantras are. And the mantras are like keys, and you use the key to unlock the door. And
Could you define mantra?
Mantra means a word that is from a divine source that was heard through Shruti by rishis and yogis in deep meditative states. It's not a conceptual thing of the mind. It is a gift that has been revealed to them. And these mantras have the, with devotion, have the ability to purify the mind, and which means really take one beyond the mind. And the chanting of them with your own voice creates a resonance in your own skull, like a dome. And that resonance...
like a theater, really.
Right. It's like you engage the mantra and then you listen to it going. So you're not really chanting it, you're basically engaging it and getting it to start to, like a prayer wheel, move inside of you. And then listen to it. So the form of Nadi Yoga is worshiping the Divine Mother as sound, as the sound being her form. It's also a very subtle way to worship her, too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But it works.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. Good.
Yeah.
Maybe after we do some, you can speak more
Sure.
about either the relationship of the different sounds to the chakras, or
Yeah.
whatever you want.
Yeah.
It's the only time I'm ever speechless. It's beautiful. Could you share with us something that we were going through yesterday that you were leading us through, which was the sounds that are associated with each chakra and the effects that they're having on us? I know we don't have as much time as we did yesterday, but perhaps we could, you could do a little bit of an abbreviated version.
Sure.
Is that possible?
Sure.
Okay.
I wanted to say a few things about this mantra, Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya, the meaning of Om Namah Shivaya needs to really be realized by yourself. It's important that we really understand things not with our minds, but with our being. Almost, we need to understand things with our bones. We need to really get into the marrow of our bones. Om Namah Shivaya must reveal itself to you. But as a concept, it means I bow down to Lord Shiva, who is the destroyer in the Hindu Trinity. Mm-hmm. Destroyer of illusion, and he who takes away, or hara, takes away the ego clinging of our conceptual mind. Therefore, relieving us of the burden of trying to figure it out. Shiva is traditionally pictured as like Lord Buddha, always in meditation, because he's the transcendent element of the Hindu Trinity. The creator is Brahma, and Vishnu is the preserving energy, and Shiva is the destroying energy. And he destroys the illusion that we are separate from creation.
Maya.
Maya, and gives the ability to realize and see that all the individual souls are Shiva. So we see the Atman in everything, in everyone. Mm-hmm. And this is what Namaste or Namaskar means. Namaste. I worship the God within you. So this is Lord Shiva, and Om Namah Shivaya.
Mm. It's beautiful.
Good.
Truly something to live with.
Yes, and it's a very powerful mantra.
Yeah.
And it works to transcend.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah.
I recommend it.
Yes.
It's good.
Yes. There are many different melodies that sung.
Yes, whatever. Yeah, the melody is not as important as the sincerity. Mm-hmm. Sincerity is probably the most important part of the spiritual path. Sincerity and generosity. It's important to give up our selfishness and to really think about other people.
Yeah.
And not to build the empire of ego stronger and higher.
Right. Or have generosity in service to that.
Well, yeah. I mean, we're here for a short time, and we need to remember that.
Yeah.
That life is impermanent and it's very fleeting, and we need to always seize the opportunity to do good for others and for ourselves, thereby by doing it for ourselves. Because when you think about this, when the most happy you are is when you're out of yourself. When you're not thinking of yourself, you're the most happy. Mm-hmm. When we're totally absorbed in what we're doing, we're very happy. That's right. When we're thinking about ourselves, we're worried. Do I have health insurance? What happens if I can't pay the rent? Does she love me? Does he love me? Should I have a baby? You know, and it goes on, and we're just listening to the chatter of our minds. And it makes people crazy, and that's why there's so much mental illness in America and the Western worlds. There's not so much mental illness in the third worlds. People are too busy just living life, like carrying water and trying to chop wood. They'd like to chop wood if they could find wood to chop.
Yeah, right. Very true.
But just doing it, being in a body. They're so busy just doing that. They don't have time to be mentally ill. Mm-hmm. We have a lot of time to be mentally ill.
That's right. See what leisure has
it's
brought
like
us.
We indulge in mental illness. Yes.
This is what leisure has brought us.
Right.
And, computer worlds and everything else.
And it becomes more complicated, and the speed makes people really neurotic because they move too fast.
Oh yeah.
And it's important to slow down.
What's the relationship to that, what you're just saying, and the feeling that we have of time accelerating right now at this particular juncture?
Well, I think we're definitely coming to like this sort of turning point. And, but you know, again, it's not a phenomena outside of ourselves. It's really a turning of our consciousness. But it is sort of, in a way, happening in a collective way around the world, because we've overburdened the planet, and the Divine Mother is having a hard time supporting us on her holy body. And we need to lessen the load for her.
How do you feel that we can do that?
By being generous, and by letting to each other, and by letting ourselves have the love that we are, and stop pushing the love away from us, and start just being for a change instead of becoming. We're so busy becoming, we don't give ourselves a time out to be, to breathe, to sigh, to really feel the feeling.
Or we're too busy doing.
Right.
Or living in the future.
Right.
Instead of now.
Right. So find ways to do that, which is have a daily spiritual practice, which is time out.
Right.
Just sit down and, you know, be with your breath. And the breath is a beautiful form of the Divine Mother to worship. Worship your own breath.
Sure.
As the Divine Mother.
Someone was saying the other night at dinner that one of the characteristics of God is simplicity. And just to bring simplicity into your life, whether it's your bedroom or your desk or a table, just to order it and clean it and simplify it. Just one or two little pockets of your life is already bringing you closer to a sense of godliness.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, it's much more simple than really it's made out to be.
Yeah.
It's really, really, really simple.
Yeah.
And it really comes down to just really being love. Because that's what we are.
Yeah.
We are love, and that's really what it is. And
it's all such a funny game, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, it's all the, you know, the
one simple answer.
The Maya of the Divine Mother is very powerful, and it's like the spell is cast upon us, and the spell is of our own making.
It's a funny thing, because I look at things this way, that on the one hand, first of all, what you're saying, I believe, is completely right and true, that we are love, and we are here to love one another and to enjoy each other and to give to one another. And when we're not focusing on self, we're happiest.
Right.
We're abandoning self in a way. We're outside of self, and making ourselves available to someone else. And that we're separate in the first place is the first laugh. You know, and so when you realize that, then you can really be in service in a real full-hearted way. I also see life as a very beautiful and even amazingly organized thing, where you can look around and see that there is incredible complexity within the simplicity.
Right.
There's extraordinary complexity when you look at nature and the whole design of Mother Earth. And God knows everywhere else.
Right.
But if you're standing on complex ground looking at complexity, you're in trouble, because you're never going to find simplicity.
Right.
But if you're standing on simple ground looking at and beholding complexity, then you can really enjoy it, and you have something like a referent. You spoke about absolute truth before in the Buddhists, and relative truth. I mean, this is more in the domain of absolute truth. That there's something that is truly simple at heart, if you will, from which we can enjoy the entire play of it all. Does that make sense?
Yes. Right, and that is what love is, which then becomes compassion, true compassion.
Yeah.
Which is not just sentimental love.
Right.
But sometimes it's a kick in the butt.
Yeah. Different kinds
or a bop on the head.
Sure.
Or a a response that awakens us.
That's right. That's right. That's
So,
where Kali comes in. And
that's where Kali comes in, and she.
do you want to say a few words? Just that's
Well,
so rich,
Kali is the form of God that I worship, and she protects me. Kali is the black goddess, and she is black because she takes away the blackness that is in our lives. She eats the negativity and transforms it into energy that we can use to actually have a non-dual relationship with all that is, so that there's not two, there's really just one. She enables us to be fearless in our lives and have the courage to love. This is what she is.
Mm-hmm.
She's very fierce, looking to the ego, and she's very scary. But that is because she destroys our minds.
Mm-hmm.
And she
the
eats
monkey
the
mind.
thoughts, the monkey mind, the chatter mind, and she drinks the blood of our ego.
Mm-hmm.
And transforms us deeply, so that she brings up the shadow issues that we need to deal with. And she is the goddess of total beauty.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's all a blessing if you see it that way.
Yes.
And death is a great blessing.
Mm.
A great blessing.
Carl Jung used to say, Bhagavan, that people who killed themselves were cheating. They were taking a glimpse into the great mystery prematurely. You know, that's how great it was. Sort of like, don't open your presents before Christmas. You'll get your turn.
Right.
Just
so
wait.
in a way, it's like all of our life is to prepare ourselves for this wonderful experience of dying.
Yeah.
It's really exciting.
That happened to me when I read the Tibetan Book of the Dead too. I had a major transformation just looking at life from that vantage point. And my life's really never been the same since. Just came to a whole new level of appreciation of what death really is.
Right.
Not that I know what it is now, but I have some great sense of what it's not.
Right.
Which is your conventional picturings.
Right. Well, as long as we're afraid of death and we separate it from life, we can't live, because we're living in that duality, and it's very painful.
Right.
And there's always us against them, and it's always split.
That's right. That's right.
Right.
Duality and polarity.
And it will always come and bite you in the end.
Yeah.
Your shadow.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So it's good to embrace it, and Kali helps.
Yeah.
She
embrace it now.
Yeah, embrace
Wait
it.
not.
No, wait not, because when we never know when it's going to come.
Yeah.
And since she has us anyway, in the sense that she is death, and no one escapes death. And if we surrender to her now, then she liberates us now and in the after-death state.
Yeah.
From what? From our own darkness. That's why she looks dark.
Yeah.
She's not really dark. Kali is like the sky. Like the sky is dark, right? Like when it's getting dark, like a sunset. But the sky isn't really dark, like the water isn't blue. From a distance, it's blue and dark.
Reflections.
But when you get close to it, it's transparent.
Mm-hmm.
So Kali is really transparent. And she's really, she's a really fun person to hang out with.
Well, I really look
enjoy her a
forward
lot.
to getting more intimate with her.
Well, yeah, I love her a lot. She's my inspiration.
Yeah.
And protection.
Would you be willing to share some more music?
Sure. Would you like me to do the chakras?
Would you?
And go through them? Yes.
Okay.
This is called Buddha Siddhi. It's the
I'll just tell you that we have another about 15 minutes,
Okay.
just under that, okay?
Okay.
So,
Okay. These are the, it's called the purification of the elements. Actually, what it is it's dying. It's a meditation on death. Because what happens when you die is that the elements start to dissolve in your body. First of all, you start to feel really heavy and oppressed when the earth element comes into play. And then when the earth element dissolves, the water element takes over and you feel really cold or hot. And you shiver and water happens, and then the fire element starts to dissolve. And then the air element. And finally you go into the ether. And hearing becomes very, very loud, and sounds start to take on a hallucinatory form. Book of the Dead. And it's also what happens when the Kundalini rises from the lowest chakra, which is Muladhara, the earth, up to the crown of the head. And this is the symbology too of the hair on the top. It's a symbol of pulling the energy up, and this is Lord Shiva sitting on the top of the head. And this is the point of meditation, where the spirit descends right about here, or almost like a cloud. It stays here. It's a focus. It's a point to put your consciousness on. So that's really what all these things are too. Is they're tools to focus our awareness.
sure. Sort of like the Jews wear a yarmulke.
Yeah.
To
Exactly.
focus the relationship between heaven and earth and man.
Right. So if you focus with me on the Muladhara and sit up straight and feel the spinal cord suspended and feel the river of energy flowing up and down your spine from the back of your neck into the ocean of your skull cup, down into the square at the root of your spine, Muladhara. Muladhara is a square, yellow square, at the very base of the spine. In this yellow square is a red triangle with a point downward. In the red triangle is Lord Ganesh. Ganesh is the elephant-headed god of wisdom. He is the guardian of the gate. We invoke Ganesh to remove the obstacle so that the Kundalini can be aroused and awakened. The obstacle is our mind. The seed syllable of Muladhara is Lab. 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 Love. From the earth element, the water element, and the Swadhisthana, the sexual energy, which is fantasy and the astral world. This is the sense of taste. And the crescent moon is the symbol of Swadhisthana. It's a white crescent moon. The seed syllable of Swadhisthana is Vab. 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 Bam, 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 ba. Water. And this deals with our tears, with the rain, with the ocean, with the river. Water. The water dissolves in fire of the solar plexus, Manipur. This is called the city of jewels in the solar plexus. It's a triangle pointed upwards, and it's the fire element in the body. It is our digestion of nourishment, what we take in, which transforms through the fire. And the seed syllable of this chakra is Ram. 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 Fire moves into the heart with air. Anahat is the unstruck sound, the heart chakra. The deer is the vehicle. And hearing, the sound, is the sense organ. Anahata is yum. It's the Star of David, or the six-pointed triangle, intertwined. Yum. 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 The throat is Lord Shiva, the ether, blue, crystal blue, light azul blue, sunrise, sunset blue, purple, haze, Shiva, Vishuddha, the ever pure one, Hum. The syllable is the bindu, the circle. It's the round circle. Hum. 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 Agya is the third eye. Two-petal lotus. This is Guru. This is where the inner guru, or the remover of the gu, which is what guru is. The gu is darkness. Ru is removal. So unless the guru removes the darkness, there's not a guru. The behind the forehead is Agnya Chakra. This is the realm of the vision and the high state where we get the divine knowledge. Hum sa, hum sa, The divine serpent of the Holy Mother ascends to the top of the head. Sahasrara, the 10,000 petal lotus, the rainbow. The seed syllable is Shri. Ka. Back to the heart. Jai Ma.
Bhagavan Das, I don't know how to thank you. But
You did. I'm happy to
Good.
to share with us all. It's all us.
Beautiful. Well, you will have reached many people.
Jai Ma.
So thank you
Blessings.
again, and
Thank you.
when we get another chance, I'd love to have you
Thank
join
you.
us again.
Be back to New York.
Good.
Right.
Good.
Jai Ma. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Thank you very much for joining us, and we will see you next week.